So we've got another UFC underway. UFC 259, right? 259? Yeah, 259. We got that Izzy versus John. Got the co-main event. You got that Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Then you got that co-main event. You got Peter Yan versus Sterling. So I'll start with the main event. I'll start with the main. I think that Izzy's gonna win. Why? Pretty much like how I think he's gonna win every fight. I think he's gonna pick John apart. I think he's just gonna be a much smarter fighter. I think he's gonna try to eliminate the fact that there's a bit of a size difference. There's a bit of a size discrepancy there, and so I think he's gonna pick his shots. I think he's gonna be smart about it. I don't know how John is going to handle the whole striking thing when it comes to Izzy. We all know that John isn't like a terrible striker, but we know he's nowhere near the same level as Izzy, and so I think he might try to utilize a lot of his power and a lot of his, maybe even his grappling, but I don't know if that'll be enough. I don't know if that'll be enough to beat Izzy. We have to keep in mind that Izzy also fought, I think all the way up to heavyweight, when he was doing kickboxing and boxing. And so with that kind of experience fighting bigger guys, that might translate over to fighting bigger guys in the UFC. It just adds a little bit of a different element when, of course, you have grappling and things of that nature. But yeah, I got Izzy winning. I got Izzy winning probably in like the third round by a TKO. I think he's going to pick his shots, like I said, keep his distance. He's going to be much more of an accurate striker. I think he's going to be much more of a smarter striker. He's going to keep John guessing. And so to compensate for the strength and the size difference, I think Izzy's going to use he's going to use his head. And so third round. And so we got Amanda Nunes and Megan Anderson. So Megan Anderson, I've always kind of paid attention to her. She's pretty good. She's a very solid fighter, very solid striking. She's good everywhere, I think. But I think that's still not enough for Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes, we're talking about, we're witnessing something extremely historical once again in the women's division. We witnessed it with Ronda. Ronda, whether you like it or not, was a part of history in MMA, was a part of women's MMA. And so we are starting to see that again with Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes is on a different level. Something about her is just over everyone. It's just better than everyone. She's just like, she is, if you wanted to translate it into other sports, she is that LeBron James, she is that Usain Bolt. She's just different, just everyone's here. She's just here, and so with that being said, I've got Amanda Nunes winning. Second round. I got her winning in the second round. I see her just being a much more polished striker, much more damaging striker. And now that takes nothing away from Megan Anderson, because Megan Anderson has she has good power and she has good size. It's kind of almost the same deal like what I just said with Izzy and John. It's kind of like a matter of size versus skill, except the size discrepancy isn't as big here, and Amanda hits harder. So it's kind of a weird situation we've got here. And so I think I've got Amanda winning. I think Megan Anderson is a great competitor. I think if Amanda wasn't in the division, then we could talk about maybe Megan Anderson possibly being in the talks, of being a true threat to that championship. But I think as long as Amanda Nunes is firing on all cylinders, I don't see another woman fighter really beating her at the moment. So Amanda Nunes in the second round, with just sniping boxing, just sniping. And for that co-main event with Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, So here's what I think about this fight. This is actually going to be, in my opinion, the most interesting competitive fight. Now I say that just because when I look at these guys on paper, they kind of complement each other. Peter Yan, he's a great striker, not necessarily a slacker when it comes to grappling, but he's known for his boxing. He's a heavy boxer. And then Sterling, I'd say he's kind of on the opposite side. He's an amazing wrestler, an amazing grappler, but he's not necessarily a slouch in striking. He can be very unpredictable in the striking realm. And so I want Aljamain Sterling to win. Now that doesn't mean who do I think is going to win that fight. That is a whole nother story. I actually don't know. This was a hard one for me here, y'all. This was a hard one because Peter Yan, I think, is dangerous. He has really, really good boxing. Really good boxing. And he puts on a really good pace. Sterling, he has really good grappling. He almost reminds me, I've heard the comparison, he's the John Jones of the bantamweight division. And he does give me that sense. He gives me that sense of a grinder. He can kind of transition striking to grappling and grappling to striking. And that can be very difficult for fighters. And I think if it's Sterling's night, Sterling wins because of that factor, because he's able to be versatile. He's able to mix things together, and you almost don't know how to prepare for him. So when he's firing off all cylinders, I've got Sterling winning. But he's got to play his game. He's got to press forward with his own pressure. He can't wait for Peter Yan. He can't play this I'm going to strike with you, you're going to strike with me game. He has to play that I'm going to pressure you for the whole 5 rounds. Let's see if you can swim. And there's a lot of, you see those kinds of fighters in the UFC. A lot of them are starting to pop up and become very dominant. You know, you have that John Jones, you got that Usman, you got that Sterling now. And so you're starting to see these types of fighters come through, and that they're becoming very successful with the style and the approach that I mean, that's kind of one of the huge purposes of mixed martial arts. Yeah, that you're able to mix things together. You're kind of able to flow when you want. And so yeah, all in all, I think I still have Sterling winning that. I want Sterling to win that. But I do see it being a very, very tough and competitive fight. And so yeah, those are my guesses, you guys, and we'll see how your boy does. All right, we'll see how your boy does, and peace.